So, from a morning call to the stage at Home Shopping Network, how do faith, perseverance, and manifesting turn your dreams into reality? We're going to find out from my guest today, who's Carey Cohill. And I'll tell you how I always like to tell my guests how I meet the people who are my guests. So, this one's a little different, everyone. So, this one, I met Carey probably about 2 years ago, maybe three, at a networking event, an in person networking event. We were both at the same dinner meeting, and she was sitting at a different table, and she just caught my eye because she stood out. She didn't look like everybody else. She really stood out. And I thought, I got to get to know her. And I did. I went over, I introduced myself. I've signed up for her courses. I've been on her daily calls. I've just been really connected to her. I brought her in as a speaker for an organization once, and she is just a powerhouse woman. She is just phenomenal. I'm so excited to have her here today. So let me tell you a little bit about Carey. So today, Carey Cohill is my guest, and she's a woman who is, as you can see, she's not just beautiful on the outside, she's beautiful on the inside. And she has a story that's really going to inspire y'all today. So she followed her heart and she created a daily membership phone call. It's on Zoom, and it evolved. It evolved from just a powerful daily call about books and business to a very powerful faith-based morning community. And she's always dreamed of being on Home Shopping Network, and she'll tell us about that. And through her persistence and her beliefs, her dream came true, and yours can too. So now she shares her passion of cooking. We all know for me, I don't cook, but she shares her passion for cooking on the Home Shopping Network. She's the hostess, and she talks about all these really cool new kitchen appliances and products to use, and it makes me actually want to cook, but I'm not going to. So, she's just a friendly, magnetic person. She's grounded in her Christian faith, and she speaks about manifesting, she speaks about fulfillment and the courage to really go after your dreams. So, she lives her message every single day, and I'm just so honored that I was able to grab her to get her on the podcast today. So, welcome, Carey.
So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy. So I want to just dive right in and start asking you some questions. I know a little bit, some I don't. So we're just going to go right in. I know
Things have
that.
been changing, so who knows?
So who knows where this is going to lead? But I know that when started with you, it was through one of your marketing, but it quickly
Yeah.
turned into your daily success phone calls.
Yes.
And I just wanted to give us a little background of how did that all start? How did you I know you didn't just wake up one day and say, "I'm gonna start a membership-based phone call." I know it started with you not in a good headspace. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Gosh, how did the daily success call come to be? Which continues to evolve, which is amazing. I was actually in a hotel room in Austin, Texas. It was right after Thanksgiving. And when you know something, but you don't know why you know it. You're like, I don't know. I know this thing, but I don't know why. So I always knew I was going to run a company. I didn't know what. And so I have just been one step at a time. And when I was in this hotel room, I had this knowingness come to me to start this call to bring people together in the morning. Now, this was back when I would say my faith was, I think in my own hands, very much I controlled my faith. So I thought manifesting was something that had come, like I had learned about. So I thought it was all about what is it that I want? And let's bring people together and just talk about that. And it seemed great, but I'll tell you, when God has other plans, things pivot. And it was not about this call has really become just this beautiful experience of not what do I want, God, what do you have in store for me? I mean, his word says he's got a plan and a purpose for us, and it is good. So I just let him drive that call, and it's been amazing the women that show up from all over the country that I wish I could say I knew them, but much like how you and I met, you can't plan. Sometimes you just have to show up, and then There's people there you're supposed to meet. There's a reason you're there, and then you take the next step knowing that it's gonna lead somewhere good even if you can't put the whole puzzle together.
Though, but a little backstory though, I know that when you first started, you were not in a good headspace. It was even before that. And I know
Oh,
that there's
yes.
people out there in the world who are struggling. They're at a low point in their life and all that, and maybe they're just in bed with the covers over their head,
I
or
was
they're
there.
just how do you get yourself out of that and go, "Well, gee, this is where God has taken me." How does that happen?
So I was in corporate America, like, I think, traditional 9 to 5. I felt like I followed the world's rules my whole life, and dare I say, like, I was winning at life, but inside was just empty. There was this, like, "Wait a minute, now I got this achievement," but there was still this emptiness, and I didn't know what it was. So I quit my life and moved to Florida. And why I share that with you is because this was almost this period of undoing. And this was a seat like I believed this about myself, all of these things that I was what I did, I was my accomplishments. And it was I'll call it a slow burn, Zelda. I've met people like my husband, they had a quick burn. I had this slow undoing, if you will. And during this season, I knew I was gonna own a business. I knew I was gonna run a business. I had no idea what it was. And I'll tell you, I laid in bed longer than anybody should for months. And during that season, I joke with people, I watch a lot of Dr. Phil, a lot of Judge Judy, and a lot of QVC and HSN, right? These you shouldn't do like, but
Don't do that.
this was just my walk. And if you're in this period of life right now where you just know like, you're gonna start a business, for example, or you're gonna start a nonprofit, or you just know something, but you don't know how to do it. There is being in a season of waiting. Some people call it a desert season or a wilderness season. Being in that season, it won't make sense to you, but things that maybe you're holding on to that you just can't move forward with. They were coming off me, but I wasn't aware of it. In fact, I was really annoyed, Zelda. I was like, "Get me out of this season, get me busy doing something." But it seemed like no matter what I did, things almost got worse. And then I kind of just felt like I was on this nonstop walk around a cul-de-sac. Like I could busy myself, but then I'd be like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm in a cul-de-sac and I can't get out. So now, fast forward, how do you get out of that
Yeah.
season?
And what was that
Is
turning point, that
sometimes
aha
you have
moment?
to, yeah, sometimes being still, which is not what anybody ever teaches you, being still and learning, like just being still and knowing that there's more. I call it like being still and knowing that I am God. And in that stillness, all of a sudden, and I had no faith back then. But it was one step at a time. So all of a sudden, I went to a dinner event I was invited to. Right, and I was so elated because it got me out of bed, and honestly, it got me showered, it got me dressed. I hadn't put makeup on in months, and that dinner then led to another meeting, right? It was a connection point, but I didn't know. All I could focus on was, I know I'm supposed to own a business. Why am I here? This doesn't make sense to me. It's painful. I'm confused. Isn't there more I should be doing to make this work? Uh,
Kinda messes with your head when you do that because you've got all this negative stuff going on in your head, and you're
oh,
like, "What am I doing? And this is slow, and I need to be there by now," and
yes.
yeah.
And
Been
there's this
there.
belief, there's this lie that you should be somewhere else.
Yeah.
But what if, with absolute guarantee, you are where you are and it's perfect? So just if you can be where you are and take that mantle, that pressure off, then you can almost approach each day with curiosity. I'm curious where I'm going today, and doors will open up that you've never imagined. And I'm sure we'll journey through about the home shopping network and such. But it didn't make sense to me, Zelda, when I quit my whole job and sold everything I owned to move to Florida. It didn't make sense to me shortly after that, going through a divorce and all of a sudden experiencing major amounts of debt that I'd never had before. It didn't make sense to me laying around watching hours upon hours of QVC and HSN. But now, sitting here today, I can tell you that season prepared me for today.
Ah, yes.
Why can I go on HSN and QVC? Well, I watched it for so many years. or for so many months, I just laid there. And so there is, in fairness too, I've been drawn to that network since I was a little girl. So I invite you, your listeners, there's no accident that you are where you are. And I guarantee when you look back, when a little hindsight, you're like, oh my gosh, that, even though maybe it was painful, prepared me for this. Because hasn't anybody ever said to you, Zelda, like, how do you just like know to do that? And you're like, I don't know. It's almost like I was perfectly created for it. And that's been my walk. So it's very, you are where you are. I always, if I have that desire that I should be somewhere else faster, that is actually my sign that I need to surrender and just be still. And it's uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable.
Mm.
But a door can't open unless sometimes some doors close. And that has been my walk.
That's been a hard lesson for me as well, is to learn to slow down and be still because I'm
Yeah.
always like, I'm always, it's like if I'm not doing something, then I'm not being productive. But you are productive when you're doing nothing. And then you can let the universe help guide you. And that's been a tough lesson. And I didn't learn that until really the past 12 months. It's been rough. It's like, oh, I don't want to be
Getting
still. I
getting
want
you
it now.
there.
I want it now.
There's a line that I was just reading this morning about being in the deeps. It actually comes out of the book of Psalms. And when you're in this area in life where you almost feel like you're drowning, you're like, why? It just feels like I'm drowning. And you have two choices. Actually, you have three. You can either like sit there and just frantically try to get out of the water. You can just say, I'm done. That's when you can fully surrender. I'm telling you, there is something that happens when you are just broken of things that aren't true anyway. And I was in that season, and there's still some days I'm like, this thing makes me feel like I'm drowning. And that is absolutely my sign. I say sign from God to be like, just surrender, stop, like open your hands, almost be like, I don't got it. I don't know, but I know you know, so I'm gonna follow you.
And that's okay. It's like doors will open for you and people will show up for
Yeah.
you. And sometimes the people who show up for you are the ones that surprise you. And the ones who don't show up for you sometimes surprise you as
Yeah.
well. It's
And
like,
sometimes what you hear yourself say is, "Hell, where did you even come from?"
yeah,
Right? Like, there are so many miracles that happen every single day, and when we become aware of that and not be afraid to walk through anything, like, we are gonna walk through tests, trials, storms, but we're walking through them where the world says either avoid it or somehow have enough things in place so you never do it. That's just not life. That's just not life. I
you're
don't
going to
know one
stumble.
person who's, and when you go through a storm or a test or a trial or a season, man, don't you come out of the other side? You're like, wow, you're almost like, wow, I'm glad I walked through that. But while you're in it, you're like, get me out.
Yeah. Been there,
Get
done
me
that
out.
many times.
Right? Hurry, get me out. I need to get out now.
Yes, absolutely. It's like when you stumble and you fall, those are just the stepping stones to get to your successes.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
And then
So
you get to teach your children and your grandbabies, like, hey, guess what? I wish somebody would have told me, guess what? Life is hard and God is good. Both are true. Like, life is hard, but you don't have to be afraid of the hard
yeah,
because you're going to walk through it. And that's how you build character. Stay, right? How you have a foundation and not, I don't know, just not reacting to the world. Yeah.
so you started the daily call, and I was on that call for
Yeah.
a very long time.
Yeah.
Then you transitioned it. What was the catalyst to transition it to it became a very faith-based call? It's a membership. How did that transition happen?
That's a great question. So it was at the end of November of 20, so we're in 2025, 2023, right? And it was the pressure was still on me. I thought if I just told God what I wanted, he'd just give me what I wanted. And I feel like now he's like, that was adorable. And how to, I mean, sometimes, I mean, I just really don't know what I think I know what I want.
Are you spying
Um,
on me?
I know. And so I was sitting in my kitchen, little nook one day, and I just say I had a radical encounter right at my dining room table, truly with like the living God. Like it was audible, it was everything, and everything about everything in that moment changed for me. I've never cried like that before. It was almost like I wept, and I just everything about my life changed. I went from like, I really don't know. Like I walked my whole life thinking I had to know. I needed to know more so I could get further ahead. And it just became apparent to me that I that God really does have a plan for each one of us, and it's different. Everybody's got a different walk, and it's beautiful and it's good. We are his highest creation. And when I learned that morning, or it was January 21st, I began notice I'm saying began to trust him. It's been ugly. I mean, woof, but just learning how to trust that to trust, have faith. It's having faith in the invisible and knowing that there's a plan and a purpose and just walking it out day by day. And I'll tell you, Zelda, a lot of my days on my walk have been, I just want you to be still. I just want you to sit by the pool. I just want you to go do this and go on a walk. It would go counterintuitive of everything I've ever known about running a business. And I would fight it. I would wrestle with, I was like, there's got to be more. I'm sure I should. And there just wasn't. There was a lot of stillness. But in that stillness and in that calmness, I began to be able to hear and trust in ways I never have.
Tell us a little bit about what the daily call is like.
Yeah. So gosh, I think right now there's anywhere from 8 to 15, I say sisters, it's all women from across the US, and we gather, and sometimes we're journeying through a book. Right now we're in the book of Psalms. We are journeying through believe me, when you're reading about King David or David before he was king, you're like, "Why can I relate to that?" And you're like, "Oh, because as a human, we're really not very different from each other, even though God has a different plan and purpose for all of us, and it is good." So we meet, gosh, and it's that community where you can encourage people because sometimes we get stuck in the chaos, in the lies. And do you ever feel like you just spiral? You're like, why do I feel like I'm spiraling? What's going on? And when you have a group that can just say, hey, can just love you back, can give you a hug, can pray with you, can not encourage you in your weaknesses, but remind you the truth of who you are. It's so powerful. So we meet Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. And I would say there's a lot of praise on the call of like your testimony. Oh my gosh, listen to what just happened. And then there's a lot of like, can you help me? I'm walking through one of the hardest things. I feel like I don't know how I'm going to get through this. And
I
yeah,
loved how the calls we got connected with them. I mean, I remember
yes,
you said it's all female now because I remembered quite a few of the males that were on the program. And, we became Facebook friends and I
yes.
still communicate with some of them that are over there in California. And it's a beautiful way to connect because I'm all about how you connect, you never know. It's like it's powerful. Connections are
And
powerful
people come into your life for seasons. So sometimes, right,
for
like
a reason or a season, right?
yeah, and there's always a blessing in that. And so this is a very, I dare I say, like whoever's supposed to be on the call, we have three new ladies on the call, and it's amazing how God let them right there. Like this was not, I didn't know them. I still don't have their cell phone numbers. Like it's a and it just proves that there's just a greater plan, and it's a time to come yeah, it's just a time
So,
to come together, and what a way to kick off the morning.
so how did you were doing that, you're just going with the flow because you are. How did the home shopping network come to be? It's like you wanted to do it. How did it actually happen that you got to do it?
So here's two tangible things that I wanna share with people is that, one, I had going back to that knowingness, I just knew that I was gonna be on that network someday. And why I say network is because they're owned by the same company. So I just knew. So I didn't have doubt at all with it. I'm like, I just know I'm gonna be on that network. And people would be like, how or why? And I'm like, I don't know. I just know. So that thing that's in you that you just know, like I just would have fun. I would always just, I would say, speak life into it, meaning I never was like speaking negatively about it. Like, I feel like I should be on in the next 90 days or it's not happening. Like, not at all. I was just like, I just feel like I'm going to be on it. And then I got a call. There's a large newscaster down in Fort Myers. His name is Peter Bush on NBC, and his wife sent me a message. And she said, "Hey, there's this audition, and I don't know anybody else that would be more perfect for this on HSN than you." And sent it to me, and I just applied. I didn't know any different than I just grabbed my phone and I applied right then and there, sent it off one take, and then I heard nothing. And
As often as
shortly after, a few months later, somebody had asked me about it. I was like, "Oh yeah." So I once again I just messaged back like, "Hey," to the director, "Hey, I sent an audition tape. I never heard anything. I'd really love to be on the network. Can you help me do this?" Like it was now people in the world are like, you need to have an agent, you need to have all these things. I didn't have any of those things.
right.
I just knew I was going to be on the network. And so it was very one step at a time. I met with the director that day. I resubmitted some audition tapes. I made it up into the highest audition calls, and then I didn't get it twice. And he said, "You know what?" And this just shows that there's always, if we just one step at a time, no matter what we're walking through. I didn't get the host position. In fact, I was rejected twice, but I just still knew I'm going to be on this network. And I didn't know how. But then the casting director said, "Hey, I'm going to message the in house talent." And I was on in the next 90 days.
So
Yes,
what was
yes.
that like when you stepped on that stage for the first time?
I blew it was I felt like I was entering the reality of a dream. You know, when you dream about something and then all of a sudden you're in it, I'm like, "Wow, this is crazy." And I got to launch with an iconic brand called Debbie Meyer Green Boxes. Nobody had ever got to share her brand ever on the airwaves, not just HSN or QVC, ever. And I got to, and they thought I'd have 9 shows, and we sold out in 2. And then, wouldn't you know, Zelda, I didn't hear from them again. That was in July and August of 2023, and I didn't hear from them again till August of 2024. And why I share that is because in that season, so much happened in terms of my faith, just so much happened. But I share that because originally that audition tape I sent in August of 2024, they gave me what I auditioned for. So I didn't get it at first. There was ziggy zaggies along the way, but I all I can say is I did one step at a time, and I approached it with curiosity and fun and not control, and I have to make this happen and it should be happening faster. I just knew it was going to happen, and then as soon as that blessing unfolded, wouldn't you know, HSN pulls out of Florida and moves up to Pennsylvania.
I
Right?
know. I was like, I guess she's flying to Philly now.
Yep, now I
But
am.
I understand that, and I love how you're saying to people, it's like, you know, if this is where you're going, if that's the summit, you don't go, it is whoop, down the valley, up the hills, down again, up again. That is the road. It's like, that's just how it is. I totally get it. It's kind of like I had this bucket list that I created long ago when I first started the podcast.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this is my dream. These are the people who I would love to have on this podcast. And I've been able to check a few of them off now, but I know that they'll be there one day. So I'm putting it out into the universe. I'm after Les Brown. He's an incredible motivational speaker.
Yep.
And I'm after Mel Robbins.
There you
If you can dream it, it can happen.
And there's a when you know certain things, like, there's a reason that I truly believe that God gives us heart desires that are from, and when you know something, no one else has to know it. No one else, has to, you just know.
I
Like,
just like to
I
put it out into the universe because you never know. I believe in connections. And it's like, if somebody out there knows these people,
yeah, I might have been just, I mean, the same thing when I was saying things about being on HSN or QVC, and I wasn't there wasn't anything I could do to make that happen, and there's a whole group of people that would tell you the same thing, and it's just one step at a time. And when I knew that approaching it, my superpower is I don't know, but you do know. And in approaching life with curiosity or leaning into the mystery, if you will, opposed to trying to always know so much more because that takes the fun right out of it. And then you miss the joy and the miracles every day because you're looking over here when you need to be looking right here.
So, how would you say that looking back on happened in the last 5 to 7 years, those dark periods of your life when you were watching the Dr. Phil show and the Judge Judy, that depression state is what I call it. How did
Yeah.
it actually prepare you for the journey you're on now?
I think during that season, it really allowed me to slow down. I think my first 40 years of life, I was always it was always one thing in the next, and what I mean by that is, I didn't just go to high school. I went to high school to get good grades so I could go to college, and then I went to college so I could, get it was always the next. And in that season of pause, it wasn't about the next. It was about who am I and why am I here? Like it was more and when there's nobody calling you anymore, no emails coming in, you went from what you thought was a very important person in the world, or maybe the whole universe revolved around you, to you're just sitting there with Dr. Phil and Judge Judy. But it really, I started to question these things and I'm like, I don't understand who I am. There's got to be more to this thing called life because I know I'm here for a reason. It's just nothing about anything makes sense. So, because of that pause, because of that tremendously long, uncomfortable pause, things that I had been carrying along and believing, I dropped them, if you will. They came off of me. And some people on their faith walk have like I said, a slow burn or a fast burn. Mine was slow. My husband seemed to like drop all his overnight, but I just things that I believed that were just not true. It's just how I thought the world worked.
It's
And yeah.
what I find very fascinating is, I mean, coming from 2 different backgrounds here, but not really. I know that when I left my job with my family, it was like and you think, "What's next?" You feel like you've lost your identity. So when you left that corporate world, you're like, "Well, who am I? What am I?" And you have to reinvent yourself. So if there's someone out there right now that's listening and maybe they're struggling right now,
Yep.
maybe they have a dream that's tugging at them, what kind of advice would you tell them if to move forward?
I would remind you that there's not an accident that you are where you are, including listening to this podcast. There's not an accident in any of it. And I would want to challenge that person that today to breathe in that truth and actually enjoy the day. Enjoy what you do have. And it will change your perspective is so key because you just can't see the whole story. And the world teaches you to really your brain to look for what is not there, what you believe is missing. I want to encourage you, in fact, challenge you. Go see what you do have. Go see what you do have. There's a great story about a woman, and I'm blanking on who came to her door, and she literally thought, I'm about to die. Me and my son are about to die. And he said, "Well, what do you have?" I think it was Elijah in the Old Testament. And she said, "I only have a half a jar of oil." And he said, "Perfect, bring it out. And then go ask the neighbors for more jars." And in that focus of what do you have, and in that little act of obedience, all of a sudden she had more oil and more flour than she ever knew what to do with. So the thing I challenge you today is remember you are where you are and it is good. And what do you have, including breath in your lungs, health, sunshine? Sometimes, like, don't take for granted sunshine. I can't imagine. Have you ever been somewhere where it's where there's no sunshine? Like, it's a gift. Get out in it. And that would be, I would do that any day over turning on any kind of TV or devices. I'd get away from screens and just get out and celebrate what you do have. And you'll be amazed at some what will open up for you.
That is such beautiful advice, Carrie. One of my mentors, she's a public figure. She's a speaker, Pegeen, and she gave me some advice. Really, it was only maybe 2 weeks ago, and it just really resonated. And it's really what you're saying is look around. I was being negative and it was just in a place state. And she said, Zelda, hold on. Look at all the good things around you. I mean, think about it. We have running water.
Yep.
We have, I don't know if your pantry's full or just a little bit full, but that use, hey, ChatGPT, these are the 3 items I have. Make me a recipe, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you have so much to be thankful for. You have breath, you're healthy, you can walk, you're not missing a limb, or, just you have a dog that loves you because they love you unconditionally.
Amen.
So, I
Yep.
mean, there's so many things to be grateful for. And she reminded me of that. And honestly, after that lesson, that and the book by Mel Robbins, Let Them, those
Yeah.
two things, Pagine and Mel Robbins, honestly, changed my life. Changed my life. It really did. It made me more grateful, more positive, and it just opened me up to more possibilities. And I love your talk about being still. If y'all get nothing else out of this podcast today, sometimes that being still is exactly the message that you're supposed to be receiving. And it
Yeah.
works. It
It
works.
did. And gratitude, I heard this the other day. Worry is a form of worship, but so is gratitude.
Yeah.
And I want to worship like the creator. I want to worship the goodness
Yes.
that God has us here. And I don't want to worship worry. And because guess what? When you're in that anyway, it goes nowhere. You just feel horrible.
Yes.
And so gratitude is a choice, choosing to walk around. But one thing that I had to get broken of in my period of stillness is I don't need you to fix anything. God kept telling me that. I don't need you to fix anything. Stop looking at things like they are broken. They're right where I want them. So, and that has been a journey because I would get locked into like, this needs to be fixed and this. And that's it. That is not seeing what you have, and there's no gratitude in that. There's actually just control. And so
These are golden nuggets, people.
that was a big,
Gold. This is
big
such gold.
lesson.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Did
Carrie,
you
if our audience here, our listeners, they want to reach you, they want to connect with you, they might want to join your daily calls, reach out to you. How do they
Yeah.
connect with you?
You know, the best place that I'd love to connect with you is either on Instagram or Facebook and just at Carey Cohill. I don't know if you'll spell, will you put my name in like show notes, how you spell Carey
Absolutely. They'll be all over the
Okay.
place. Yes.
I think that would just be the easiest way where we could connect the quickest because I can't put my cell phone over the airwaves or
That's okay.
yeah, we don't want to do that. So definitely go there and we'll connect. That's the fastest way to get a hold of me. And I'd love to walk with you
And she's a
or
great
be
person
still
to
with
walk with.
you.
Yeah. Or be still with you. Exactly. Carrie, your story is just such a beautiful reminder that even in our darkest moments, if you plant those seeds, they'll blossom. And
Yes.
you've shown us that faith and consistency and the courage to dream big. Really, that's where you can transform your life. And I thank you for letting us share in your journey and inspiring everybody to listen, to believe, and reach your dreams because they're all attainable. That's our episode for today, except for I have one final question for Carrie. It's
Oh, I
my
was hoping.
signature
I was
question.
like, oh no, are we gonna
No, I always have a signature question, and that question, as everybody who knows how to listens to this podcast, and I hope you are subscribers, it is share. Can you share a story of how an opportunity presented itself to you because of a connection that you had, or that you were able to offer an opportunity to someone else because of that connection?
Yes, and this the first one that came to my heart when I read your question is there's no accident in your journey, but your journey is personal to you and only you. That's why never compare. So why I share that is the industry that I left to move to Florida was the jewelry industry. But there was a gentleman and his name is Phil Dingledine. And I asked him about a year ago, so talk a connection, right? He used to shoot all my jewelry commercials. And so he's a connection. He just out of the clear blue sky happened to be in Jacksonville from the Quad Cities, and we met up. And I told him that I said, Phil, I have this knowingness in my heart that there's going to be a TV crew or a production crew. There's going to be a big commercial or show in my house. Once again, just a knowingness, didn't know anything else. I shared with him, how do production crews like you find homes like mine? And he told me. So I followed his instruction, a connection. And I will tell you, one of the biggest celebrities one of the biggest companies in America just shot a commercial in my house. I can't tell you who it is yet because it isn't out. It will be out shortly. But when I say big, like I mean big. And like just on the AC Grammys, just on like in our house. And so I just want to absolutely encourage you that your journey is unique to you. Nobody else can walk your journey but you. Nobody else has your plan but God. Like he knows exactly where you're going. And those knowingnesses, I don't know if you have a different word, Zelda, but mine is I just know, like I know, but I don't know why I know. And for that to come in and maybe it's another episode, Zelda, but the money that came from that was literally miracle money that my husband and I absolutely needed to be able to pay for something because it was money we didn't have. And so I share that because it was one connection. I walked my journey, it was one connection, and that led to an incredible, yeah, that could be a whole
I will
podcast.
just tell the audience here, I've seen pictures of your home. She has a kitchen to die for. It is made for TV. So whatever it is, it's obviously something to do with the kitchen.
No, you're gonna laugh.
Oh, it's not.
Not with the
Okay.
kitchen.
It's not the
Is it
kitchen.
no, that's why when your hand like, so daily success call is the name of our daily call, and we say the true definition of success is actually surrender. The world says, "Be busy," but the true definition of success is if you can surrender so you can hear, it's amazing what doors will open. It's amazing what doors will open. But, yeah, it had that connection, not been on my journey, Phil Dinkeldine, and then had he not come to Jacksonville, that opportunity to ask something so simple, right? And it turned into something so great that I think is gonna reach I don't know how many millions of people. I don't know how big their commercial campaign's gonna be, but I know it's going to be big.
That is so awesome. Congratulations to you. I look forward to hearing who it's going to be. So that's our episode for today, everyone. I hope that you will remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's growing. And that's this episode of Success Through Connections. And be sure you click. And just remember this: success does not happen in isolation, it happens because of the connections that you have.
Mm.
Connections are today's currency, and connections are the new power move. So let's connect, keep connecting with those people that you would love to have a chat with. Till next week, I'm Zelda with Success Through Connections.